Oh, it's shifting it over. That's what it's doing. Huh. Okay. It's a little weird, but whatever. Why am I not displaying here? Okay, now I am. I'm going to need to scoot this over a touch more so that's visible. Okay, that looks much better. Alright, good afternoon, folks. My name is Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a Death and Taxes site for Legacy. On this channel, we play mostly Death and Taxes and Friends of Death and Taxes. We're a very Thalia-friendly channel. We don't discriminate in that regard. And today we're going to play with 8 Thalias rather than the normal 4. Today's deck is something that I designed. It's very conceptually similar to something I played, oh geez, maybe about a year ago now. That deck had Flame Tongue Kavu in it, though, and it was a little ambitious, as I might call it myself. So rather than Flame Tongue Kavu, now we're playing with Palace Jailer, and we're not playing too many of them, because the white-white can be a little bit hard on the mana base, but the card's just so powerful that it'd be a shame to not run it. And the other big improvement to the deck since then is Vryn Wingmare, right? So essentially, I'm playing a Stompy deck that in the first 2 turns of the game looks to jam one of these 16 cards as an initial lock piece. Thought-Knot Seer is also a possible turn 2 play off of like Eldrazi Temple and Ancient Tomb, or one of those lands plus any other land and a Lotus Petal. So it's the sort of thing that like is possible, but somewhat unlikely. You say, I don't know if I like Smasher, but it's probably the best thing we can be doing. Yeah, I think this deck needs a little bit of reach. Like, this doesn't have the normal flyer count that Death and Taxes has. So you need something to be able to push those last few points of damage, and I think Reality Smasher is a very good follow-up play once you have their board sort of on lockdown, and Eldrazi Displacer can help push it through and help make, like, combat math involving Reality Smasher an absolute nightmare. So I think it's actually pretty good. So, you know, this is kind of what I dubbed, like, the Hateful Eight, right? Like, this is an 8 Thalia deck that seeks to, like, slam one of those cards, or Wingmare, or Chalice, and really slow my opponent down in the initial turns of the game. You'll notice here that there are almost no non-creature spells. That's because I'm playing both Thalia and Wingmare. The Jitte kind of gets the pass because it can be a turn 1 play off of Ancient Tomb, and it's just crazy good with a bunch of like First Strikers and Flyers and Tramplers. And Lotus Petal gets the nod over other things like Spirit Guides because it can produce white mana, and it's not like card disadvantage in the same way that things like Chrome Mox or Mox Diamonds would be. Hypnotic, no, I don't think I can fit Stoneforge Mystic into this shell, doing everything that I want to be doing with it. This is much more aggressive than D&T, so a greater proportion of the cards are going to be like taxation effects of some degree or another. Stoneforge is meant to like be grindy and good in the long game, but this deck doesn't want to get to the long game. This deck wants to go like lock piece, big giant card that takes over the game, and keep our opponent from ever getting to the long game. Whereas Stoneforge Mystic is better when you want to take the game to, you know, turn 10 or something like that. And the sideboard is probably not all that surprising to you. For the matchup where removal matters, we can go and board out our Chalice of the Voids. Sorry, those are hiding for some reason. We can board out our Chalice of the Voids, bring in some Swords to Plowshares, and then we get like Holy Light as a sweeper. For the combo matchups, we have like Rip, Fairy, Thorn, and for the control matchups, we have Armageddon and Thorn. So we've got a pretty good mix of spells here. I'm just going to start jamming some games with this. I've only got like an hour and a half probably to play. So I'll probably end up finishing this league tomorrow. But I just had the itch to play for a little while. It's kind of rainy and gross here. And my plans don't really start for a little bit longer. Yeah, I think this deck is going to be a lot of fun. I enjoy stompy decks quite a bit. I mean, most of you have been around this channel enough to know that. I think the stompy decks are a lot better than people give them credit for. They have their own consistency issues from time to time, but I just enjoy them so much. Like, just watching the hope and life drain out of your opponent is really fun for one half of the table, and it's the half of the table that I'm on, so I'm A-okay with that. I'm not going to claim that my deck building is perfect. This is not a deck that I've played a ton of, kind of obviously. I haven't played this exact archetype in quite some time. So it's possible, like, there are some problems with my mana base. It's possible that I could run a few more lands and then Mox Diamond or things like that. But this is good enough for a random Saturday afternoon. Right, I have no information about my opponent, but I can go turn 1 Chalice, so I keep this hand. Turn 1 Chalice is probably good against just about any Bloodstained Mire deck. This is probably red-black Reanimator. Thought sees me. Alright. That means the Chalice is gone. And my hand gets much, much weaker. Interesting. So my opponent might be planning to, like, Thought-Knot Seer me. Like, reanimate the Thought-Knot Seer. And, like, take my Palace Jailer, thinking that that would be good enough to just, like, beat me. Raven's Crime. Not Reanimator at all. Am I playing against some sort of, like, Pox deck? Question mark? It must be like some sort of weird Loam Pox thing. Question mark. There has to be Loam or Crucible here. Huh. I don't think I want to wasteland them. I think I just want to give myself the flexibility of playing Palace Jailer next turn. But I'm probably Thought-Knot Searing. This also might be some sort of, like, Entomb Punishing Fire deck, too? I don't really know. Like, it's gotta be, like, Entomb, Life from Loam, Raven's Crime, stuff. How do you feel about Shalai in D&T in Modern? I think Shalai is amazing in Modern D&T. I'm not much of a Modern player myself, but I've watched some other people play it, and it seems gross there. Like, it's pretty good in Legacy, but with the power level a little bit lower there, it just seems awesome. Oh, geez, it is. It is just Reanimator. Huh, okay, I was wrong. Can they get anything into the graveyard? I don't care about this Exhume, right? I don't care about any of their cards, actually. Like, all their... no, they could, like, Collective Brutality into Exhume. So I guess I just take this. It's probably not worth splashing green for in Legacy, but it might be worth splashing green for in Modern, because there's already, like, sweet green cards that you can play in that shell. Like, when I played some Modern D&T, a lot of times I was splashing green for things like Thragtusk, because blinking Thragtusk, like, with Restoration Angel is just stupid. Alright, versus Reanimator, we get Fairy Rip Thorn. We can consider Swords to Plowshares, but I probably won't. Dude, they couldn't Thoughtseize themselves. I had a Chalice on 1. I'm also confused why he did not take Chalice. Like, getting Thought Not Seared is bad, but not the end of the world. Getting Chaliced means that your Entombs, your Faithless Lootings, your 1-mana discards, your Rituals are all off. I don't know what my opponent's reasoning for doing that was. I'm almost curious if I should actually Swords to Plowshares in this matchup. I know that sounds really weird, but I wonder if my plan is just, like, so hateful that I don't need it. Maybe this is a play-draw thing, where on the play I don't do them, but on the draw I do. It plays so poorly with Chalice, though. So I get 4 pieces of Graveyard Hate and just, like, infinite disruptive elements. I think this is fine. Like, if my opponent can produce a turn 1 critter, it's probably like a Grizzlebrand and they draw 14, and I can't really beat that anyway with, like, 1 Swords to Plowshares. I don't even know what Chef at Dunes is. Let me look. Ooh, Chef at Dune seems like a really good suggestion, actually. Thank you very much for that. I think that is just a strict upgrade to what I'm doing. This is a turn 2 Chalice. This is probably just slow. I should probably mulligan this one and try to get something that can make a turn 1 play when I'm on the draw. So I guess I could play a Chalice on 0 and then Rest in Peace. This is probably good enough to keep. I know it doesn't make the turn 1 play that I wanted, but this is solid. It also has an Eldrazi Displacer, which can, like, blank an opposing fatty for a little while. Wasteland. That potentially counts as a turn 1 play. It might not. But I'll put that on top. Let's see if they have the Entomb. They are on a mold of 5. Do have the Entomb. Sire of Insanity. Alright, that is scary. We're doing this to get the Chancellor trigger out of the way, so that next turn I can play Rest in Peace and lock this one up. This should do it. This should get the concession, right? Like, my opponent has no lands, there's a Chalice on 0. I'll follow up with a Chalice on 1. So if this doesn't do it, my Chalice on 1 should. Yes, the deck list is below the stream. So Army of Thalia, they could play something like Reverence Silence to get rid of it. They could use something like Lake of the Dead to hardcast threats. Ooh. That's actually probably better than... Is that better than Chalice on 1? If I cast Chalice on 1, then my opponent can make literal no plays. Yeah, so this... Sorry, this is better. they've had it. Back in we go. And Kogan, here is the deck list just in visual form. So essentially we're doing the same sorts of things that D&T is, but instead of relying on Aether Vial for long-term acceleration, we're going for short-term acceleration with Eldrazi Temple, Ancient Tomb, and Lotus Petal. So this deck is going to be much more explosive out of the gates than D&T, because, like, we try to slam, like, one of these 16 Haymaker cards in the first turn or two, and then follow up with a couple more of these before closing the game out with this stuff over here. A Darker Waste can be both a colorless source and a white source, because I have cards that require colorless mana specifically. Someone posted some desert that was an upgrade to what I was doing, Sheffet Dunes. So if I play this again, I'll try that. Alright, no data on my opponent. I'll keep this hand. It can't do anything good on turn 1, but it has a very, very aggressive curve. Lake of the Dead would do it to let them hard cast stuff. Otherwise, Reverent Silence says if you control a forest, you can cast it for free, and it destroys all enchantments. Those are the big ones. Otherwise, you sometimes see something like Abrupt Decay or Wear Tear to get it off the table. But Rest in Peace is a beating. Fortunately, since everyone is being greedy... Ooh, is this, like, elves? That'd be bad. So this is, like, probably elves or Maverick. We're drawing okay. That's for sure. If this is elves, I want to Chalice on 1 before they do something like Glimpse. Don't natural order me, bro. Alright, it's Maverick. It's not elves. That guy's cradle was beyond good. Don't really know if I can win from here. I guess I could draw a Reality Smasher. And that would wall the ooze. If I play any creature here, it just, like, has to chump block and die. but any creature I play gives me a significant amount of time. So I guess I can, like, play Thalia, jump block Ooze with Thalia. My opponent might not attack in with their other two creatures, in which case I take 0, and it works like gaining me a buttload of life. It's kind of unfortunate that I don't have a little bit more mana. If I had more mana, I could do something like try to get, like, Thalia and Jitte both online to, like, first strike out the Ooze. Oh god, please move that sword. Please move that sword. No. Just second knight. This feels like concession time. Even if it's just, like, Reclamation Sage to blow up the Chalice, that's still bad. But I think it should just be another Fatty Boom Boom. Like, now this means that even if my opponent doesn't want to just, like, aggro me... Yeah, alright. Yeah, even if they don't just aggro me, they can also just, like, double Wasteland me, and then I never do anything again. So this is a safe point to concede. So my Chalices will come out here, and my Swords to Plowshares will come in. I'll probably play my Rest in Pieces as well. Holy Light's probably a little soft, even though it can be good. And Armageddon is worth considering because my opponent is a mid-range deck, but it's really awkward with Knight of the Reliquary and things like Rounding Up Excavator that they might play. Out of curiosity, is there a Lake of the Dead for every color, or just black? I don't know of another card that is like that in another color, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So this is turn 2 Thalia, turn 3 Thought-Knot Seer, turn 4 Displacer, start blinking Thought-Knot Seer. That's fine to me. Thalia Heretic Cathar is pretty disgusting against Maverick. Ooh, and my opponent's on a Mold of 5 too. This is not going to be friendly on them on a Mold of 5. If they don't have a turn 1 mana accelerator, it's going to be hard to catch up. Oh, there is a sack land cycle like that. Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen that one before. People keep telling me to put it in my sideboard, and I keep telling them, no, that card's bad, and they don't listen. I don't hate this Lotus Petal, actually. Because now I can Thought Knot Seer and follow up with Wasteland on the land that will hurt my opponent the most. I don't really care about their Leovold. That's not doing much. It's gonna be impossible to cast without another land, too. So I'll take that Stoneforge. I'll take them off that Bayou. Well, you get one of the 2 Eldrazi Displacers. But bad news for you, opponent. You are going to be under the Thought Knot Seer Eldrazi Displacer lock for the rest of the game. Or I can just start doing things like Eldrazi Displacer your Dryad Arbor during your upkeep, and essentially, like, build my own Rishadan port there. That's a pretty good draw. This means that I don't have to tap that Ancient Tomb for mana this turn. Why is Bojuka Bog still in their deck? This is a post-sideboard game. That's confusing. So far, so great. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Oh, and so now that's 6 mana now. Okay, so they can theoretically cast a Leovold, so I can just like take that from them. No, I won't do that yet. So I think I'll let them go to their draw step, and then I'll Thought Knot Seer them once and see if I need to Thought Knot Seer them again. If I don't need to Thought Knot Seer them again, if I don't need to Thought Knot Seer them again, I'll just Eldrazi Displace or tap Dryad Arbor if necessary. So I let them draw the card first, so that I can take the best of their cards. Thoughtseize and Leovold. I will take Leovold. And now I'll go ahead and tap down their Dryad Arbor, and then I can tap down their Birds of Paradise on my turn, and then my opponent's just dead. And I like this play from my opponent. Like, they know that they're dead, so they just Thoughtseize me to get, like, one more look at a card that can be in my hand. Small edges. They matter. And Ken, thank you for your subscription, if I did not say that already. I do appreciate the continued support. Both when I'm playing D&T and when I'm playing, like, terrible, awesome, fun piles like this one. This hand's pretty good. Again, no turn 1 action here, but like we get turn 2 Thalia Heretic Cathar, followed by like maybe turn 3 Wingmare plus Wasteland or something like that. No, I haven't. I think the deck's pretty mana hungry. And I think I need to keep all of my lands around. I don't know that I can necessarily afford to be losing some of my lands. Like, if I'm going to play Thought-Knot Seer and Reality Smasher as my curve toppers, I kind of feel like using a City of Traders in the early game to power out like a Chalice is going to feel pretty bad. So that's why I'm not running any. Is that correct? I don't necessarily know, but that was my reasoning for it. Okay. Okay. So Bird can't do combat damage right now, so this is actually fine. So all I need to do is play a first striker that can beat this, and luckily I was planning on doing that anyway. Okay. Okay, does this Lotus Petal help me? Next turn, I can, like, Eldrazi Displacer and blank out their creature forever. But I can't play Displacer this turn and hold up mana. And my opponent is going to have probably 3 Jitte counters. If I play this Wingmare just as, like, destroy target Jitte counter, my opponent still has enough counters to blink Eldrazi Displacer and get it out of here. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna like lose out on tempo too much this time. I am going to go ahead and, like, make a play, but this is not a good play. But if I want, like, any hopes of setting up, like, some top deck thing to work with this Eldrazi Displacer, I probably need to keep my opponent from getting up to 4 Jitse counters, because, like, 4 means that not even a Thought-Knot Seer is going to stick around. Green Sun for 3, maybe? Yeah. So this is just going to get a Knight, and it will keep me off of getting enough mana to do something meaningful with Displacer. It's unfortunate. But if my opponent doesn't kill the Displacer this turn, I can use it on their turn. And, alright, they figured it out. Alright. No, Maverick's a really fun deck. There's a lot of wiggle room to get yourself out of weird situations by playing well. And I think, and this is going to sound kind of weird to say, but I think it's a good deck because it is complicated, and because a lot of people don't get reps against Maverick. You're more used to the complicated board states than your opponents are in many cases, and that means that you will tend to play better through them. That's kind of opinion there. I don't know whether or not that's actually true, but that's kind of my inclination by like playing some Maverick and by playing against Maverick quite a bit. I feel like people miss out on a lot of, like, Knight of the Reliquary lines that are obvious if you're used to playing with or against the deck, but that otherwise might not be clear. Because there's a lot of weird stuff, like even the simple, like, oh, I'm going to, dismember your Knight of the Reliquary. Nope, I'm going to tap it, get a fetch land, get the fetch land, fetch. That sort of thing. Or, like, the Wasteland yourself to grow your Knight by 2. Some of that stuff really catches people by surprise. Maybe I'm supposed to have some sort of disenchant effect somewhere in here. I was pretty cold to equipment. Theoretically, the first strikers and the Eldrazi Displacer should be able to keep that in check. But I guess specifically because my opponent had mana accelerators and equipment, that was the problem. Unclear. Like, the cards that I have in the sideboard feel like a pretty good assortment of things. But maybe I don't go, like, full play set of Swords to Plowshares, Maybe I play, like, 2 Disenchants and then, like, don't even play the 1-drops and play, like, Blessed Alliances or something like that instead. Oh, yeah, Scrib Ranger does some silly, silly things. The fact that that thing has flash is ridiculous. Like, Scrib Ranger plus Mother of Runes is just a nightmare for any fair deck. And even something as simple as, like, Scrib Ranger, get an extra Knight of the Reliquary activation. That can really send a a Knight of the Reliquary into the Stratosphere in just a turn or two. Real talk, why does Thalia Heretic Cathar have the legendary border, but OG Thalia doesn't? Let's not complain about that. Let's not talk about that and hope that it just like stays without the new border, because like I really like it just looking nice and crisp like that. I don't love the new legendary border, truth be told. Like I understand what they're doing, but on the cards that it's not meant, like on the cards that weren't originally designed for this to be around for, it just looks poor, I think. Four minutes in queue. Rough. So while I'm waiting, I might as well show you another deck I'm going to be playing. This will probably happen Monday, but someone donated for me to play a blue-white Stoneblade list, and it's pretty old school. It doesn't have True Name Nemesis. Instead, it just has like Monastery Mentor. So it's got the normal stuff that backs up Mentor well. So it's got Probe, Brainstorm, Ponder, Therapy, as well as 2 Spell Pierces to protect it. So this seems like a crazy good Monastery Mentor deck. And then it also has like the normal Stoneblade stuff that you can take over the fair games with Jitte and Batterskull. I don't know that this version is any better than versions that just run True Name and just say like you don't get to interact with me. But I like what's going on here. It seems like a pretty sweet deck list. I'm gonna have fun playing this. Yeah, so Bosk, like, if Mentor wasn't here, this would look like a Stoneblade or a Deathblade list from, oh god, how long has that been now? Like 2 or 3 years ago, since like right immediately. Oh no, probably longer than that, right? Since right immediately after like Deathrite Shaman got printed. I should know what this player plays. I've played against them like so many times. Is it Miracles? I feel like it's Miracles, yeah. So if it's Miracles, I go like turn 2 Thalia Heretic Cathar, turn 3 have Karakas up for it. This is fine. Okay, so how Palace Jailer works is it goes and exiles a card. Ooh, no. But it's on lands. So for Palace Jailer, your opponent exiles a card until I'm not the Monarch anymore. And then once they become the Monarch, they get their card back. And I will never get to exile that thing again. So it's not like if I become the Monarch again, I get to re-exile it. It does not work that way. Alright, so opponent has Punishing... Oh my god! Ugh. So they have Punishing Fire Loam, triple Mox Diamond. This is disgusting. My Thalia Heretic Cathar would be so good against lands on anything resembling a normal start. But this is not that. So now I can't play Thalia Heretic Cathar here. I need to just like play Eldrazi Displacer. My goal is to find a Chalice and put a Chalice on 2. My pair of Eldrazi Displacers can buy time. Although honestly, I might just like jam Palace Jailer. This Glacial Chasm Thespian stage combo means that I might not deal damage to my opponent ever again. So that's bad. So I'm playing this Palace Jailer here rather than another Displacer because in the long game, like as soon as my opponent gets a Wasteland or a Ghost Quarter, I'm going to start getting grounded to the dust, so I need to start trying to draw towards something proactive much sooner. Alright. Thought Nasir is okay. That might be able to nab either a Punishing Fire or a Loam, depending on what my opponent does. And that Tranquil Thicket's very bad for me. The Caracas also isn't great. Oh, MTG, thank you very much for hosting. There's the Ghost Quarter I'm afraid of. So both the Life from the Loam and the Punishing Fire are safely in the graveyard where I can't mess with them. Information's good. My opponent mostly has lands in hand. Nope, entirely lands. No. Yes, I have tried Eldrazi Displacer in, like, regular D&T, not with all this, like, Eldrazi nonsense. It was fine. It's really good against some decks, and then just dead against others. Okay, the second Punishing Fire probably means I'm dead. But I'm gonna keep fighting. That's a great draw. So like when I was playtesting it in particular, it was very, very, very good against things like Infect and Reanimator that relied on a single creature to go and do most of the work. Okay, there's the 2020 idiot. But I just win, right? I just go like Eldrazi Displacer, blink, kill you. Yeah, I think I just cobbled together a win. Because my opponent played Dark Depths as their land for a turn. I think my opponent needed to play more safely. Unless they just have like a crop rotation for another or something like that. Armageddon seems decent. Bury and Rest in Peace are probably pretty good as well. I probably won't like Swords of Plowshares and give them 20 life for a Merit Lodge. I don't think I want to go that route. What are my worst cards? Chalice of the Void is pretty good on 2. I guess probably it's like some of my lower end stuff that just dies to Punishing Fire. Actually, Jitte's not that great. So I could like pull Jitte and the Wingmares and call that good. Do I keep this? I can go turn 1 Thalia Heretic Cathar, then I'm living off the top for this stuff. If my opponent has a Punishing Fire, this hand sucks. If they don't have a Punishing Fire, it's okay. If 2 of my next 3 draws are lands, this hand is great. If my opponent has a Wasteland, this hand is not great. So if my opponent has Wasteland or Punishing Fire and uses it, this hand is bad. That's probably too much. A 6 with a Scry is probably better. Like, I kind of have to treat, like, all 3 of these cards like they're dead right now. So this is an effective 4-card hand that does one powerful thing. Mulligan. This will do a turn 2 Thalia Heretic Cathar and is a little less soft generically than the other one. I can also just turn 1 Eldrazi Displacer. I'll keep this. Scry a land. That land will let me go Thought-Knot Seer. On turn 2, I could just go like turn 1 basic plains, turn 2 Eldrazi. I can already do that. Maybe I just pitch this. But it's fine. Okay, so if I go turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, then with this land I can go turn 3 Thalia Heretic Cathar or Displacer. What am I even trying to do? I'll top this. Of note, I will be playing the Lotus Petal on turn 1, in case my opponent plays something like a Sphere of Resistance. This might clear out something like a Punishing Fire, which could make room for my Thalia Heretic Cathar to like actually do something meaningful. Alright, so we're gonna leave him with GQ, Maze, Waste, and Crop Rotation, and 100% taking the life from the limb. And now I have to hope my opponent is bad. So my hope is that my opponent, yeah, so this is good for me. If my opponent had gone Wasteland, they have a Crop Rotation, so that doesn't do a ton. Alright, why did you like turn 1 Displacer then? I think turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer that like can potentially take a life from the loam or Punishing Fire or Crop Rotation can matter a lot. Okay. That's reasonable. But not great. I think I just wasteland my opponent's Maze of Ith. The Tabernacle's kind of annoying. So I know they have a Ghost Quarter left, so they can Ghost Quarter me off one of my lands. But if they do so, I just replace it with a basic Plains. Let me just confirm that I have regular basic Plains in my deck. I do, I have 2. So if my opponent Ghost Quarters me, then I hit them for another 7, put them to 1. They can't fetch. They have 2 things I have to get rid of. And technically that should have happened in their turn to play around a crop rotation to the best of my ability. So my opponent could Ghost Quarter my Ancient Tomb, I replace it, I still pay 2 for these, they Maze of Ith 1, and then they're dead to the other. So they'll need, like, instead, like, a mana-producing land and a Punishing Fire. Yeah, alright, not gonna happen. Oh... I have something to do at 4 o'clock. I have 20 minutes. I can probably squeeze in one more game. I'm gonna jump to the queue and use the bathroom, and we'll try to fit in one more before my plans. No, that was not like the 5 minutes it took me last time to get a match. My opponent played Check Pile in 2017. So, I'm on the draw. I get a turn 2 Thalia. If I get a land in my top 2 cards, I go, like, turn 3 Wingmare after Thalia. This is borderline, but probably good. Well, I shouldn't say good. Probably fine. No, I don't play Temple unless I'm playing, like, all these big Eldrazi in the top end. Oops. Be right back. Yeah, okay, so that's a good point, Army of Thalia. When you have other better soul lands, you don't really need to go and play Eldrazi Temple unless you have a very strong reason to. Lands like City of Traders and Ancient Tombs are probably going to be generically better cards in many cases. That's great. So I'm actually going to play a Wingmare this turn, so that next turn I can play both Jitte and Thalia. Okay, I say this assuming that this Wingmare is going to die. Let me throw that out there before someone tries to correct me. Alright, that's a little unfortunate, but it's fine. How do I want to do this turn? So my opponent's probably on Grixis Delver. I can just play Thalia and then follow up with Wingmare next turn. Or I can play a Wingmare this turn, follow up with Thalia next turn. Or I could go all in and go Thalia this turn, Wasteland Underground Sea. And all of those are reasonable lines, which is weird. I think I kind of want to play for a long-ish game. So I think I'm just going to play Thalia. This will let me play around a daze on the Thalia. And since my opponent has already used a Fork Bolt, I don't need to fear that. See, the thing about going Thalia Waste is that if my opponent does something like land Lightning Bolt, I'm like super Omega Boned, because I will just be locked under my own cards. The way that I did this will allow me to cast 2 different threats before going too low on lands. Land. Not land. This is okay. Like, with any one land, I can beat this Gurmag Angler in a bunch of different ways. Like, the Displacer can lock it down. Can realistically race it as well. Okay, okay. This is a start. So this needs a resolve, and then I need to draw another land. My opponent has to, like, also not have Lightning Bolt. So I'm asking for a decent amount here. Alright, Eldrazi Displacer does not beat that. So I can lock down the Displacer, be dead to True Name in 3 turns. If I cast Jitte here, my opponent has lethal and I have to chump block with the Displacer, and if this Displacer leaves play, I just can never win. So cast Lotus Petal, I play Thalia, intending to chump block with Thalia. And if my opponent has, like, literal anything, I'm going to die. This will open up, like, me potentially getting to connect with Jitte. Alright, my opponent has, like, a bolt or something. Okay. Bolt and push. Bolt and second bolt. They expose themselves to, like, a big blowout to Swords to Plowshares there. Like, I was at less than 9, right? So they could have just... No, it's a Thalia. No, they could have, like, attacked with True Name, bolt me, and that would have been safer. That would have guaranteed a kill that turn. So I think essentially, since, like, so many of my cards are good against Delver, I probably won't sideboard a ton. This is a little action light, but it's a double removal spell against a tempo deck, with something that will give me a huge tempo advantage in turn. So if my opponent goes, like, you know, land Deathrite Shaman, I swords that, and then I stick Thalia Heretic Cathar, I probably just win. I am not convinced that there is a good reason to run... Oh, in Modern. Okay, well... I have no strong opinions for or against Brimaz in mono-white D&T in Modern. Like, I like Brimaz in that it dodges Lightning Bolt, but Modern boards can get clogged up by a lot of idiots, right? Like, you get some randomly, like, really big things on the board, like Death Shadows and Tarmogoyfs and such, and it doesn't feel great against those sorts of things. But it's very swift clock when left unchecked versus things like combo decks, and the bodies that it generates are not irrelevant. I played some Brimaz in Modern D&T, but that's been... I haven't played Brimaz in Modern D&T in almost 2 years at this point, so take all of that with a grain of salt. I am not the most knowledgeable Modern player. It feels like my opponent's decisions are taking them so long. Maybe that's just me. I feel like I'm doing a lot of waiting. It's probably been like 8 months since I played a game of Modern. Okay, that's not true. I helped one of my buddies playtest. But besides that, it has been a very long time since I played a game of Modern of my own volition. Hero Bladehold is probably reasonable in Modern. Like, it dodges both Bolt and Decay, two of the most popular removal spells of the format. Seems fine. And I'm going to go ahead and not play around Daze and Swords to Plowshares this now. Because if I draw a 4-drop, I can just play it this turn. Yeah, that's fine. That's insane. Please don't big fish me. Good. Pitch Brainstorm. Essentially, I care about Gurmag Angler and very little else out of my opponent. Doing this in my opponent's upkeep to play around Daze. Or not Daze, Stifle, sorry. Ha. Ancient Grudge. Get got, opponent. Oh, I'm gonna take the Pyromancer here. I'll leave them with the Bolt. They can use that to kill the Wingmare if they want. But like, if that's the best use of their turn, I have them on a 3-turn clock with Thought-Knots here alone. So my opponent's not technically dead yet. They can jump block this Thought-Knot Seer. Produce a mana and kill the Bryn Wingmare. Ooh. Sure. Do I want to play this land? I don't think I do. Alright, and we get there. If I know my opponent has Ancient Grudge, do I just want to board out my Jetes? Like, they're bringing it in because of Chalice, which I've boarded out because I'm boarding in Swords to Plowshares. It's still probably just too good. Oh wait, I have 61 cards. Get out, rest in peace. Oh, I forgot to submit my deck. This was on me. Nope, it was not on me. My opponent is still making decisions. This is a mulligan. This is a very reluctant keep. This hand's bad. Why do you make your plays before Gitaxian Probe? What are you doing with your life? Gitaxian Probe is the first thing you do so you can play optimally. Like, say they don't have a counter spell. They could have, like, used their turn to ponder instead or something like that. I'm not going in all in on a Wingmare just to, like, lose out on that much tempo if they have, like, a Daze, a Force, a Lightning Bolt, a Forked Bolt. There's too many things that can go wrong there that just, like, make it not worth my time to do that. Yeah, see? Like, exactly the scenario I talked about. My opponent could have, like, pondered on their turn 1 to set up, like, a turn 2 with protection. Do I want to trade with this Delver? My opponent is giving me the opportunity to. I don't think I do. So I have probably higher quality cards remaining in hand than my opponent. So I just kind of need them. Hey, come on in. I'm just finishing up streaming one last match that's running a bit long.
Okay.
Alright, so I think I've got the... Ooh, that's a great draw.
I could be like a serial killer, you know.
Yeah, I don't suspect so. Alright, so now I get to Thought Not Seer my opponent, take their last remaining card. I have the bigger stuff on board. That would have answered it, so this is very convenient for me. That is less convenient. So now we're going to be at parity. Oh, F-Freak, thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate your support here. It's keeping me doing what I love to do. We'll see how aggressive my opponent gets with their true name. Not is the answer. Currently losing the race. But that can change pretty easily. What do I think about the new set? I think Battle Bond has a lot of very interesting cards for Eternal formats, while also being highly marketed towards the casual crowd. So I would say it's a successful set. Yes, Brightling is very, very interesting. That will... This is disgusting. If this resolves, we pretty much win the game on the spot. Never mind. We have to wait and get one more mana before we can do that. I think at my opponent's draw step, I will go ahead and blink my Thought Knot. I need to protect this Holy Day from discard. Alright. My opponent has nothing left. They just have 2 lands. Thought Knots are doing some work. So this puts me to 6. Then it puts me to 4. So we'll need to block both of those. But I can attack my opponent with both of these and then play another Displacer. This is going to end up being uncomfortably close. Ooh, I forced my opponent on the defensive. Let's see if this resolves. Opponent has 1 unknown card, so it has to be like Daze, Spell Pierce, Force. That's so annoying. Yeah, our own Wingmare lost us this game. Can we recover it all? So I attacked them down to 12. Nope. Death right, True Name. And I'm dead. Alright, chat, I've got to run. I'll finish up this league tomorrow and we'll see if we can cash it. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University. And if you enjoyed what you're seeing today and you haven't already, consider following and or subscribing. Thanks. Bye-bye.